to Toffee TV. I am here to ask Baz the question. Baz from the MLS show. The MLS show on YouTube. Subscribe. Link is in the.
Are you on the MLS show?
I am, but I'm just saying you. I'm just like differentiating myself. Yeah. The question is, Baz, who is Cyle Larin? We have been linked with him in the last few days. I don't know where the links have come from. Apparently, they've come from America. We've heard a couple of little quiet sources ourselves saying that maybe the club are having a little look at him. Maybe they're just thinking there's this young Canadian prospect playing his is it his third season?
This is his third
season in MLS. Yeah. And maybe at Everton are having a look at him. So who is Cyle Larin?
There he is.
Okay.
Right there. Well, you just said it quite nicely. Yeah. He's a 21-year-old Canadian international, 22 on the 17th of April, a couple of days after my birthday. And he's a lad who was the first pick in the Super Draft a couple of years ago for Orlando City, and he scored 34 goals in 61 games.
Which is quite good.
It isn't bad at all. Orlando scored 3 goals this season in their opening 2 games. He's got all of them.
Okay.
So he's a finisher. He's over 6 foot. He's powerful. He's quick. You know, he's raw as well. His hold-up play's not great. But he scores a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Remind you of anyone?
Yeah, he does.
And he's definitely someone I think's worth having a look for us. I think that the fee, or what they're quoting, would be around $4 million to get him out of MLS, which is probably about £3.5 million, which is a snip, I believe.
Now, we've spoke about Cyle Larin before on the MLS show, because Orlando City are your team.
They are.
In fact, I'm a bit disappointed that you haven't already met Cyle Larin.
I've watched them train.
And other words,
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
You've met Kaká, but you haven't met Cyle Larin.
I've seen Cyle Larin. He said hello to me. And actually had a proper conversation with him.
He's a nice lad then.
He is,
and we've spoke about him, and actually we've said in the past, this lad probably could do with maybe going on loan in Europe and having a little... Because I think very much his future lies in a European team. Yeah. He's a lot different from other players in MLS. There aren't that many finishers, and the finishers seem to be... The other finishers seem to be European players who've gone over there, or not even legends, just European footballers who have been schooled a little bit differently. Because the American, or the North American, shall I say, centre forward is a little bit more rugged, a little bit more physical, a bit more of a hold-up player.
Yeah. And
finishing comes a little bit more second. There's not as much finesse, I would say.
Right.
They're not saying they're not good players, but there's not as much finesse. And I think this is what the difference between a player like him and a player like, let's just say, Josie Altidore, who came to the Premier League and failed massively, is I think this lad's got a little bit of finesse about him. And I think that could be the difference between him making it in Europe. Now, I'm not necessarily saying he's good enough to play for Everton or any other Premier League team, but I think that's what he's got about him.
Yeah, I agree. I watch all of their games, so I've seen him score many types of goals, good in the air, but he scores a lot of balls threaded through to him one-on-one and just slots it past the goalkeeper. Lovely finisher. And listen, I don't know if he could cope in the Premier League. He's a physical specimen. Yeah. He is a big lad and he's quick, and so straight away you'd look and go, well, he probably could, because he's got that ability. Would his goals, transfer over to the Premier League? Would he be able to score 34 Premier League goals in 60 games? We don't know.
Yeah.
But he's 21 years of age at the moment, and he's someone who you would think that the club could certainly take a look at and mould into Romelu Lukaku Mark II.
Is it better that if Everton were looking for a player like this, to get him in as soon as possible to be able to start the moulding process? Is it maybe that if he stays in MLS, if his future ultimately isn't in MLS, is it better that he comes over here sooner rather than later, and maybe the club bring him in and look to, or a club, I'm not saying Everton, I'm just saying a club bring him in and maybe put him on loan at maybe a championship team and get him used to the rigours of English football and all the demands that there's not saying there's not demands in MLS, because there is. I mean, the conditions this lad plays in Orlando every week are bad enough.
Yeah.
But just the different facets of English football. Or do you think that he could come in and maybe, I mean, he could come in and be part of the under-23 squad, or would that be like too much of a massive drop for him for where he is now?
Yeah, I think in the Canadian international
Yeah.
set up now, so I think he'd qualify for it.
Yeah.
Of course he would. And it might do him, you know, a little bit of a Calvert-Lewin, you know, play a couple of games with that, get a couple of goals. But coming in and training with better players or with out at that level, you know, in pre-season. Now, I don't know whether Orlando City be open to letting them go. In their season runs through, of course. They'll hope it runs through till December, but it runs through till the end of October if they don't get through to the playoffs. Everton, I'm quite sure, would want them in the summer transfer window. Maybe they'd leave it late to get some agreement done with Orlando, but I don't know. I think you need to get them in and start getting your coaches around them and what you want from him and see if he's up to the job. But we know that they're looking at him. We know he's been recommended. And these, like you say, these stories have surfaced in America, and it's interesting that it's Everton who have been the forerunners.
Well, you say that. I mean, one of the issues is now obviously Orlando. Phil Rawkins is one of the founding fathers, should I say, and he is also still a shareholder. He's not the majority shareholder anymore.
No.
But they do have a link up between them and Stoke. Which could put a spanner in the works if they've got first refusal on him.
Potentially, but with it, like you say, with it being American sources, you'd expect them to know whether there was anything.
But then again, I'm not sure whether. See, I don't think Orlando could actually stop him being sold to Everton before anyone else. They could make Stoke very aware of the situation and say this lad is good enough. But I think because of the way MLS works,
you buy him off the league.
You buy him off the league and not the club. So ultimately, I think it would be if Everton wanted him and wanted him bad enough, they could get him. So definitely. I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, I've seen a lot of him, and I think he's a cracking striker. I think he's got the instincts of a striker. He's fast. He's good in the air. He's strong. It's just whether he could come over here, but he's only 21, and it would be interesting.
It's there to be shaped, and in this day and age, you've got to look to try and get other strikers that maybe not everybody's looking at, as well as trying to go after. Listen, I want Everton to be going after superstars as well, but having someone like this to come in a different way.
And it's interesting what you just said, because you've talked about Calvert-Lewin there. You bring a player like Calvert-Lewin from a club like Sheffield United. You know, you bring a player like Lookman in to, you know, Everton from a club like Charlton. I mean, he's 21, but don't forget he's been to college. They go into MLS a little bit older in America, so a bit like the Landon Donovan thing, where, you know, he was older, but really in terms of football that he was knocked 3 years off. And I think it's the same with this kid. You can knock a couple of years off. I know you can't knock, but in terms of his football, you can knock a couple of years off. He didn't start playing when he was 16 in a league. You know, he hasn't been worn down. He's in his third competitive season. Now for us, that's more like a 19-year-old. So I think we've seen players come over before under David Moyes, and even recently we had a young goalkeeper come over on trial. And it'd be interesting if the club could get their hands on him for a couple of weeks
to see what
and just see what they thought.
I look and just think, like I say, I've seen a lot of them, and I like my centre forwards, and I think he's got a lot of the attributes that you need. We won't know till he's over here, but his goal record speaks for itself. So.
Let us know. I mean, if you've watched, if you're a Blue over in Orlando or a Blue over in America and you've seen a lot of them, let us know what you think. Or even if you just, you know, there might be fans out there who are not Blues, who are just Orlando fans. Could he play in the Premier League? Do you think he could play over here? I know you don't really want to lose him, but do you think that he could go on and play for the Premier League, whichever club? Let us know in the comments. Obviously, we do shows every week for the MLS show, so we're in a decent position to say we'd like to see him give it a go and just see what happens. So let us know if you've seen him. Could Cyle Larin come in and do a job for Everton? Could he come over to Everton, get trained up and be moved on somewhere else and Everton make a profit? You tell us what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching Toffee TV. We'll see you later.